Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you back to the Dynamic Decisions podcast, where we explore the strategies that drive successful decision making in the world of business. Why? Because the best decisions come from great conversations. I'm your host, Tisha Cable, CEO of C Model Data, and today we have a leader in digital content, event recording, and scalable technology. His name is Vojta. He is the founder and CEO of SlidesLive. Vojta has been in the market for more than 13 years, building SlidesLive from the ground up into a global operation with 3 headquarters and a massive team globally. Vojta, thank you so much for being here. I'm super pumped to have you. Tell me more about you, more about SlidesLive, kind of give us the lowdown.
So we actually started a company during my university years. So we were not really sure what we are doing. And I think it's better to start that way. And, it wasn't even a company back then. And we just had this idea that we want to bring the recording to the masses, that we want to record every single presentation and lecture that's out there. Because back then, recording university lectures was just not common.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard. It was difficult. Video recording was very labor intensive, editing, hosting. But, all the students, they wanted to get an access to a lecture that I recorded. So I thought, okay, well, how can we make this globally available? And then, I visited Silicon Valley. And of course, that was a life-changing experience because everyone is very encouraging and helpful. And it's like, you should do it on a global scale. So that's how our journey started. And today we have around 600 people worldwide, mostly US and Europe based. And we record thousands of events every year. And we have over 100,000 videos in our library that are free to access. And that's sort of our giving back to the community, that people have access to this knowledge, hopefully forever.
I love that. This is fantastic. So the events industry, it's really undergone an extraordinary transformation, right? What began as pandemic-driven necessity is really evolved into a real opportunity, as you just talked about, for knowledge democratization. So organizations right now, they know that like a 2-day conference, for example, reaching 500 in-person attendees, while it could reach 50,000 people globally through a really high quality digital capture. So even though that's true, there's still a real tension that's been going on in this evolution, because there's an immediacy versus networking magic, premium experiences that really justify how much people pay for these kinds of things. Can you tell me a little bit, when you're working with your clients from like academic conferences or corporate summits, how do you help them to navigate the balance between democratizing knowledge through your library, which 110,000 plus pieces of content, and then also preserving the premium value prop that makes live events financially sustainable?
That is an excellent question, of course. So the thing is that if you attend a conference, usually you have just very limited time. Everybody knows this, there are all these fantastic people that you want to meet. You want to have those face-to-face interactions because they are so valuable. And at the same time, there might be 5, 10, 15 breakouts running at the same time. And you're like, which one to choose? I would love to attend all of them, or quite a few. And there's just so much content that you cannot see on site, even though you would love to. And this is where the recording comes in handy, because you can watch it later. Of course, some organizations, they might not have the funds to send everyone that they would love to be at that event. They might send just one person due to travel costs and so on. So this is really to making this accessible. It's not an extra thing. And that, I think, shifted after COVID. Now people see the value of these streamings and recordings, and they see that it's never going to replace that in-person experience. Mm-hmm. It's like just an additional layer that's now almost taken for granted. and there's no way. Even though during the COVID, a lot of people are like, yeah, events are gonna stay hybrid. People just not gonna meet the way they did, especially during those tense times when we're not even able to shake hands. But that changed so quickly, and now we are seeing levels of attendance higher than pre-pandemic. So I think this industry is safe when it comes to the future, and
Yeah.
the recording is just additional layer.
I think it's safe and necessary, to be honest with you. I think just humans, we need community, and these in-person events, I think, are a big part of that. I love, though, that I can extend the impact of an in-person event with digital recording. It's just like a meeting is great, but then the note taker being in the room makes everything better because I'll actually get to remember what are the things that I need to do from it, right? So
Yes.
this is great. So you've been able to really scale from a founder, just a founder, to leading a 750 plus team, right? Across multiple continents. That's really orchestrating this really global operation across time zones, cultures, regulatory environments. Would you walk me through a moment when you discovered exceptional talent or team in one region that brought you capabilities that you really hadn't anticipated?
Well, I think every team, every country, every continent, they they have different amazing skills, and it's really the combination. One team is very strong at tech, the other team is very strong at logistics, and that again, for us, it's important that we get together on an actually twice a year. We do like a big team building when we fly people across the globe to a single location. We usually spend some time in the winter in the Alps at an offsite. And that's the moment when you transfer the important knowledge, not just the ordinary trainings that you do every day and not just the day-to-day operations, but that's when you say, oh, I was thinking about this improvement, or I was thinking about this little innovation that I have in my head for the last few months. And one of our best product improvements or even new products were not born in the office. They are born usually at an offsite or during a hike, or that's why we really think it is important to get the people together and enjoy some time elsewhere.
So here's another one for you. So Slides Live, it really sits at this fascinating intersection. You've got prestigious academic institutions where knowledge sharing is really mission driven. You've got corporate clients where content really supports business objectives, or at least it should. Then you've got nonprofits where they've got budgets that are typically constrained, but impact is paramount. So these types of customers, they have completely fundamentally different priorities. You got academics, they really want these comprehensive capture of intellectual discourse. Corps, they need polished brand experiences. Nonprofits need you to really focus on cost efficiency. When you're actually allocating your R&D resources between, let's say, AI-powered cameras, post-production automation, library search capabilities, these kinds of things, how do you create solutions that actually serve all of these diverse needs without building three separate products? Is there a framework that helps you to actually identify what the universal value is beneath these, what look like very different use cases?
Yes, another great question. Of course, they have the same goal, and that is to record what's happening on the stage. And so the AI powered camera will be in all these products. But the different approach is the nonprofit, they might release it open to the rest of the globe, which is something that we support. And we have a program called SlidesLive Charity where we, either do it for free or at a very discounted rate in order to bring that knowledge to the humanity. Corporate clients, they might need to gate the access. They might need to, protect it just for their employees. They might need some extra services such as analytics, and a lot of advanced features they simply are not a part of the free package that is dedicated for nonprofits. So we really try to serve all customers. Also, the size of the event doesn't matter. You can have convention for 20,000 people, but sometimes, when 200 scientists or doctors get together, those might be world-class experts on a single topic. Let's say it might be a rare disease. And yes, there's not going to be a huge audience, and the stream might be attended by a handful of people, but it is even more important because those people are in different parts of the globe. They need to connect to transfer knowledge that is very rare. And that is when we come in. We want to allow this, make this happen, no matter what is happening around them. These people are busy, they are great at their job. And our duty is to be in the background and make sure everything is up and running, make it happen, record it, stream it, and preserve it for them and all the future generations.
Amazing. Wow. You kind of left me a little bit inspired just now. So I don't know that we think about the work that we're doing in that way so often, right? So yeah, thank you for sharing that. So here you are, right? You've built this library of 110,000 plus talks. That's really an extraordinary knowledge repository. That's a lot of information. But here's the opportunity for you. Massive libraries create discovery challenges. The most valuable content often goes unwatched simply because people don't know that it exists or they can't find it when they need it. So, what indicators beyond things like view counts tell you whether your library is genuinely serving learning and knowledge transfer? How do you measure if an academic researcher found the exact talk that sparked a breakthrough, or if a corporate team discovered insights that shaped their strategy? What kind of excites you most about using AI in this way and advanced search to really change passive archives into these active learning engines?
This is something that is now very exciting because we're living in this era when after many, many years of, it was always the same. Yes, discovery is a challenge. Categorizing all that content was always difficult. But now, people see large language models mostly as a chatbot that you ask about cooking recipe or what to do during your vacation. But nowadays, these are allowing us to analyze the content, and we are not there yet, but I see a future where every individual has access to their personalized knowledge archive. It's similar like when you turn on a Netflix, they recommend you the best movie and best show to watch, but education is waiting for exactly such revolution as well. When, depending on your field, on your expertise, you'll receive a content from your peers from all these events around the world, and you'll have access to world-class information at your fingertips. That is what is finally being possible. And if it's possible, it must be done. And that's what we are working on these days.
That's beautiful. Okay, so you're working on this. It's beautiful. You're working on this, and the technology landscape for events, for example, is also evolving. You've got AI-powered production. You got real-time translation, interactive viewing experience, immersive formats. So your background in augmented reality with companies like EasyWall, it gives you a perspective on these emerging possibilities that most event recording companies might not even see. So as you're kind of thinking about and making decisions about where to invest in innovation, how do you balance between building capabilities that solve today's client needs versus developing technologies that create entirely new possibilities that your prospects may not have even imagined yet? Can you tell me about some of what you think future opportunities in event content are, and what you're most excited to open up?
Yeah, I think we always prefer to be a bit more innovative than just go after what everyone wants, because the best thing is if they don't know they need it and they want it yet. So yes, very often you have to just make a bet. You have to reinvent thing. With the robotic cameras, it was a similar story where, people were initially very skeptical. They were like, yeah, human videographers are just the way to go. And, these robotic cameras, they might present challenges and people might not like it. People might be afraid of it. And it just took off. Many of our customers, they just loved the idea. And, it's saving costs. It's allowing technicians to spend more time doing actual necessary stuff and not just standing for 8 hours by the camera. So the history proved that we were sort of right, and this technology is needed, even though initially there's a lot of backlash. And similar thing, I think, will happen with the AI. And we do transcripts. So as you said, now transcripts, translations, and people already see the value of this, but they cannot yet imagine that they'll just type a question into the search bar and they'll not receive just a regular text-based ChatGPT answer or a Google result, but they'll receive snippets, highlights from the top minds around the globe as I can almost imagine it as a form of YouTube short or something where there will be a condensed information that you need, that you're interested in, and then you can expand from there. Because that's how people discover things. They're curious. You start here. Okay, I want to learn more about that topic. And then you have all these questions in your head. So I see that you're typing these questions, you're receiving the video content along with the slides, all the other materials. So it's not going to stay with the text answers. This is the future, that you're going to receive an information piece from a human, which again is a lot easier to review. It's hard to trust the chatbot that they have the right answer. But if you see a world-class speaker speaking for 30 seconds, he's right.
You definitely have a much higher confidence in it. Hey, this is a message for our audience. I want you to think about your own organization's event and content strategy. What digital content decisions have created the most meaningful impact on your business outcomes? Share your experiences with us on LinkedIn and other social media using Dynamic Decisions Podcast. Okay, so you have built this remarkable entrepreneurial portfolio, right? You've got SlidesLive's global content infrastructure, Red Button's entrepreneurship ecosystem, Easy Wall's augmented reality innovation. Each one of these ventures required different capabilities. SlidesLive really demands your operational excellence and quality consistency. Red Button was like community building, ecosystem development. Easy Wall, you needed cutting edge technological innovation. What capabilities have really transferred most powerfully across all of these ventures for you? Walk me through how experience from one domain unexpectedly created breakthroughs in another for you, and any sort of cross-pollination of ideas, and how you approach the work you're doing today.
I think in the end, you're always working with people. And that is the most challenging and most rewarding part of any job and any company, I would say. And I think extremely important is the company culture. And that is usually what sets you apart. And preserving that culture is very important part because, it might take you years to to assemble a fantastic team. You might have great processes. You might have great people, great product, great market. But then if you hire just one or two, it starts with one or two toxic people, then they can poison the team very quickly. So it is important to build a culture in a way that it sort of tries to preserve itself. I find it better not to rely just on the leadership or on yourself, but to have a bottom up approach where anyone is encouraged to sort of look after the culture. Anyone can raise a concern, anyone can speak to the CEO, and anyone is encouraged to just, if you see something, say something. Because by the time you will learn about it, it might be already too late. And you want to guard that culture because that's what your customers will like, and that is what will make you successful.
This is great. All right, we're going to jump into my favorite thing to do on this podcast. It is called a decision-making persona assessment. Okay. So we're going to explore your decision making style through a persona assessment. So I'm going to ask you 4 different questions that represent different decision making approaches. And after each one of them, you're going to tell me how much the way that I'm asking the question resonates with how you actually approach your decisions. You get a scale of 0 to 100% for each question, but you only get 100% across all 4.
Okay.
Okay. And I ask them one at a time, and you have to tell me a little bit about why you're making that why it's that percentage. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. I need some music for this section. I'm gonna
Yeah.
work on that. I need to have like some music going on right now. Okay, here we go. So the feeler, this is a values-driven leader. So this persona prioritizes alignment with core values and mission, often weighing the human impact and cultural fit of decisions alongside business metrics. So when I'm evaluating a major expansion, perhaps opening a 4th headquarters or launching a new service line, I ask myself, beyond the business case, how does this decision strengthen our mission of making knowledge universally accessible? Will this expansion create meaningful opportunities for our team members to grow and develop new capabilities? If we're considering production automation that increases efficiency, are we creating space for our teams to focus on more creative, fulfilling work, or are we just optimizing away the human craft that still makes SlidesLive special? When customers like NASA or Forbes trust us with their most important events, I need to ensure that we're building a culture where every team member feels ownership of that trust and takes pride in the knowledge we're helping preserve and share. The question becomes, does this decision make SlidesLive a better place to build your career while delivering more value to the world? So, how much does that approach of looking at decisions by asking yourself values-based questions, how much does that resonate with you?
That resonates with me a lot. And, again, it might be against the mathematics of, just money or what investors or what shareholders might require. And because very often you have a gut feeling and you sort of know where you're going, you know where your target is, but you don't know how to get there. And of course, people, they like certainty. They want to hear exact steps. How are you going to get there? What are you going to do? What's the plan? And yes, I very often I have to confess that I don't have exact plan. I don't have the answers that everyone requires or they need. But yes, I'm guided by that gut feeling that tells me this is the way. This is where our team will grow. So that resonates with me quite a lot.
How much? What's your percentage?
I would say 85.
Wow, you're going to leave.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. You said 4 questions. Okay.
You got 4 questions. You only
I
get
have to split
100%
100.
total. Yes.
Okay. Total. I'll do 40 then. I'll do 40.
Okay.
Sorry. 40. Yeah.
40%. All right. So that leaves you with 60% left over the
Yeah.
next 3. Here's the next
Yeah.
one. It's called the planner. The planner is a strategic visionary. So this persona focuses on long-term implications and future-proofing decisions, always thinking several moves ahead and considering multiple scenarios. So when I'm making strategic technology decisions, whether to invest heavily in AI-powered production, build immersive viewing experiences, or develop real-time translation capabilities, I ask myself, what are the second and third order effects of this choice across multiple future scenarios? If virtual and hybrid events become the dominant model, does this architecture let us scale to meet exponentially larger audiences while maintaining quality? If AI continues advancing, are we building capabilities that leverage machine intelligence while preserving the human judgment that creates truly exceptional content experiences? If content consumption patterns shift towards shorter, more interactive formats, does this investment create flexibility to adapt, or does it lock us into assumptions about how people will want to learn? I'm mapping how today's technical decisions either expand or constrain SlidesLive's ability to lead the industry through futures that we can envision and disruptions that we can't fully predict. How much does that forward thinking scenario planning approach to questioning resonate with how you make decisions?
Yeah, as I said, I would love to become a better planner and thinking every single step, but that's not my style right now. So I would leave this with just a 10%.
10%. All right. That leaves you with 50% remaining. Here we go. Here's your next one. It's called the counter. It's a challenger of assumptions. So this persona naturally questions conventional wisdom and looks for contrarian opportunities, often finding success by zigging when others zag. So when I see the events industry obsessing over production quality metrics like resolution, audio fidelity, color grading, I ask myself, what if we're optimizing for the wrong things? What if the real barrier to impact isn't production quality, but discoverability and context? The industry has accepted that event content has a short shelf life. Most conference recordings get 80% of the views in the first month and then fade into obscurity. But what if that's not inevitable? What if the problem isn't audience interest, but how we've organized and presented content? My augmented reality background with EasyWall taught me that the interface between humans and information fundamentally shapes value. What orthodoxies have the event recording industry accepted? That talks must be full length, that search is sufficient for discovery, that value comes from volume, that we could challenge to unlock entirely new possibilities. What if SlidesLive's competitive advantage comes from reimagining what an event library could be rather than just building a better recording service? So how much does that assumption challenging, contrarian style of questioning resonate with your decision-making process?
Well, that's a tough one because the library is what drives me with, what keeps me going. Because, in business, you have ups and downs. Things go well, then things go terribly. And you need that, higher purpose to, to stay in business,
For
to
sure.
not give up.
For sure. 100%.
And the library is a big piece of it. It is, I would say, I don't know how great the last question is going to be, but I would, out of those 50%, I would say 30 is the
Okay.
library aspect. Yes.
All right.
Reinventing how people, how to attract them to the content. Yes, there is a lot that we will unveil in the next few months and years that will support
Oh,
this content.
I love that for you and for the audience. I love the idea that you're open to this sort of reimagining of this entire process. Awesome. Here's the last one. You ready? You
Yes,
got
I'm
20
ready.
you got 20% left. This one is called the data driver. It's an evidence-based decision maker. So this persona relies heavily on metrics, analytics, and concrete evidence to validate decisions, preferring proof over intuition. So before committing to major infrastructure investments or evolving our service model, I ask myself, what insights can our data reveal about how different client segments derive value from our platform? I want to understand not just view counts, but engagement patterns. Which talks get watched completely versus abandoned? Which content gets shared and sparks additional learning? Which events generate sustained library usage months after the live date? Segmenting by audience type, content format, and production approach helps us to identify what actually drives outcomes versus what we assume matters. At the same time, I'm asking, what additional signals complement the quantitative data? How do speakers describe the impact of having their ideas preserved and amplified? How do conference organizers talk about the value beyond attendance numbers? What qualitative feedback from our global teams reveals opportunities the metrics might miss? The goal is building a comprehensive understanding that combines performance analytics with human insight so that we're making decisions that serve both measurable business outcomes and the less quantifiable but equally important mission of knowledge democratization. So, Vojta, how much does that data-driven, evidence-focused approach to questioning resonate with how you make your strategic decisions?
All these questions are great, by the way. I mean, like, you could work for us immediately. You're just asking the right questions, and I love that. But yeah, so the saying is, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So I heavily support everyone that is driven by data, and I love looking at the results. I'm not the best number crunching person in the company, to be honest. And again, I'm more guided by the gut feeling. But data will not always give you a full picture. Again, sometimes you have to rely on what you don't know. Many leaders are making decisions with just maybe 20, 30% information, and you just have to do it. Yes, you will fail. You will make bad decisions, and you're responsible for it. That's your purpose in the company. And not everyone is comfortable with that. Not everyone is ready to make a decision when they're not sure or when the data is not there. But that's the role of management, that you cannot rely always on data. So I'll bet my remaining 30% on that, and I will say I will still be guided by the first question, which
There we
is
go.
the gut feeling.
So you are 40% feeler, 10% planner, 30% counter, and 20% data driver. And here's the thing. There are people on your team that are going to participate in every single part of that, right? So it's okay that you're the feeler primarily. So your number really could have been 85% on feeler. It's just that the balance is the most part, but the balance doesn't always just come from us, right? It could come from our team too. So as we wrap up this conversation, thank you so much for participating in that. My final question for you is this. So you've helped a ton of organizations. You got NASA all the way to Spotify to help them to really power their events and their digital content to really open up knowledge and reach. If you could give one piece of advice to a leader who wants to dramatically scale their content strategy for real, true, meaningful digital transformation, what would that be?
Okay, one advice. One
Yes.
advice would be just keep going, never give up. Because today I see so many people that they start new ventures, they start new ideas, and they just don't give them enough time to grow. They'll say in a year or two, well, I'm not billionaire, or I don't have a 20% market share. Great things, they really take a long time to happen, and many people underestimate how much struggle you have to go through. Just don't think that everyone had it easy. No one, no one I know had an easy win. You always have these, okay, am I going to bankrupt tomorrow? Or, the pandemics was a big hit. Of course, we almost bankrupted overnight. It's just full, the path is just full of struggle, and that's okay. Nothing is easy. And but if you keep doing it long enough, eventually the luck will turn on your side. So
Man.
be in it for long term.
You were talking to me just now. So thank you so much for that advice. That was for my audience, but really I take what you just said as an entrepreneur and a founder, and I'm really valuing what you just said because time is what these things need, and it's not often on your side depending upon who you're listening to and what and even what your market is, right? So thank you so much for sharing those insights. Thank you for sharing your expertise. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Can you share with our listeners and our audience more about where they can learn more about Slides Live, more where they can learn more about you?
And thank you for wonderful questions. I really enjoyed time here, and I'm happy to connect with anyone who is listening. You can actually write me on my personal email. I don't give that away very often, but Vojta at slideslive.com. If you have any questions or would like to share your struggles, I'm happy to connect with you. Otherwise, open up our website, browse the content, enjoy 100,000 free videos. Or if you have an event, again, shoot us an email and we would love to discuss how we can make your content available for future generations. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. And to our listeners, I want to thank you for tuning in. Remember, the best decisions come from great conversations. If you've enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to subscribe it, rate it, share it with your network, and let's keep the conversation going on social media using Dynamic Decisions Podcast. And until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and keep leading with purpose.